I stepped into this role as product owner in 2014, and then this CPO role started when we scaled out our development around 2019. As part of the product management team, I collaborate with the service team at TBA Leicester, who represent you all, our existing customers, and the projects team, who are for our new customers. The last UGC was 5 years ago, and I guess a few things have happened since then. I'll show you some highlights of the last 5 years. But definitely we want to emphasise and highlight integrations that have taken place, and also there's new web security regulations that we've taken account of in our development over the last few years. There's an entity called Container Handling Solution, and this includes a new TOS product as a component of that solution. So what is this Container Handling Solution, or CHS? It's a TOS management layer from ourselves, and then a control layer using equipment control system components from what was TBA in the Netherlands, TBA Rijswijk. They're now rebadged or rebranded as part of the Konecranes family, so Konecranes Equipment Control Systems and Services, ECSS, so you may hear that. And it makes use of their Teams equipment control system, and we've made extensive use of the controls application to test the integrated solution. So the Hadron project, we've got several integrations in that project. Gate operating system comes from Camco in Belgium. They also provide a crane operating COS system for the key cranes. And there's a reefer monitoring system called Reefer Runner from Identec. And then there's an integration for EDI with the Israeli Port Community System. And we use Boomi, extensive use of Boomi for that integration. The development of the TOS component of this CHS actually started about the same time as the last user group conference, 2019. And the go live was in October 2021. Throughput rates recently have meant that their projection for an annual throughput of getting towards 1 million TEU. So a very quick introduction to that particular product line. So let's get back to the product that you all know better, Autostore V5. So what have we done since 2019? Quite a lot of development going on during 19. I think some of the important highlights to mention are we added field app functionality for terminal trucks. So instead of just being a staging location between cranes and reach stackers or storage equipment, the terminal tractors can also run the field app, and they can see containers on board and where they're going, but also where the next pickup is if they're not loaded. We also enhanced the field app functionality relating to value-added services orders. Previously you couldn't actually create those orders on the field app. You had to go to the main client to do that. We've now added that functionality to the field app so that you can actually create VAS orders. If you've got a sequence of operations you want to do on a particular container, then you can do that all on your tablet device or anything running the field app. And then we did a fair number of enhancements to the way that we process EDI messages. So we have a messaging service that does that processing for us. And we also enhanced some of our interpretations of the EDIFACT messaging. So I guess as everybody knows who's ever encountered BAPLI or COPRA or COPAN, there's the standard, and then there's everybody's interpretation of that standard. And so we've tried to take as many adaptations or variations of that processing as we can. And then last but not least, some 60-foot units appeared at Eimskip terminal in Iceland. I've not seen a picture of one, but simply to say that we did add support for those size of units. It's a little bit like the way we treat 45 foots. It's a logical handling, so we don't actually reserve three bays for 60-foot containers. We just assume that the spacing of the storage is adequate for those size of containers. So a lot of that development was actually driven by the recent implementation of Eimskip in Iceland. And actually in the third quarter of 2019, we then had another go live, which was for the Samskip terminal, the Volgobaki terminal in also in Reykjavik. So that was another highlight for us. We then moved on to a different kind of development, a lot of work relating to truck handling. Allowing swapping of trucks for dispatch containers, allowing trucks to leave the terminal for external activities, so port health in this particular case, and for the container to come back again. Allowing a limit for the number of trucks on terminal to avoid overloading the terminal. And then last but not least, we actually implemented some gate in and gate out messaging. We also continued with our deployment of the driver assist or PDS solution. So again, in the last quarter of 2019, we integrated with Cathay Nebula system that's deployed on some Kalmar RTGs at Sabanga Bay Terminal in Malaysia. So again, the Kalmar RTGs are shown there. Quite an interesting terminal arrangement. So there's a 5-berth key that's accessed by a bridge, and the terminal trucks run up and down between the storage and that key. But we did a lot of GOS work, and the reason for that was at Immingham Container Terminal, ICT, first quarter of 2020, we did this GOS integration with Certus as the GOS provider. We continued on the development of some additional functionality, also related to container move improvements, and the handling of, I call them future visits or multiple visits. So with an import container not yet handled, the fact that Destinate and other systems can be pre-advising already the return export leg. And as I mentioned, we're continuing collaboration with ABP, so there was also the driver assist deployed on the Kalmar RTGs in the third quarter of 2020. In 2021, we only did actually one release, so there was a bit of a lag, if you like, in a I'll call it a slowdown in release cadence, but it did give us a whole year to focus on lots of development activity relating to security and also maintainability, particularly relating to our web apps, so anything exposed to the outside world, and the messaging service itself, as I've mentioned before. So then we move on to 2022, and again there was a big focus on security. There was a number of functions available through SQL Server, which is our database of choice for Autostore V5. The extended store procedure range, so XP, something, this, that and the other, kind of allowing use of manipulating the file system, manipulating commands, and we've deprecated all of our uses over this period of time, again to improve the security of the product. And then several container move enhancements relating to completion of moves in the field app. As a company, in December 2022, we achieved this ISO 27001 accreditation. So of course that really relates to IT systems, so that's the whole infrastructure of us as a company. All of the product lines, all of the offices, and so on. But we've also then carried on and created a plan for looking at mitigating any threats and risks associated with our product line. So we are obviously looking at the IEC 62443 standard, which covers OT environments, production environments, and the threat of our product could pose to your operational infrastructure. 2023, again, we were looking at more integrations. So the driver assist, again, was integrated with the crane that you can just see on this picture from Lyon Terminal 2. We also did gate operating system at the Eimskip terminal in Reykjavik. And this time the vendor was Certus. The Eimskip GOS also provided us with an integration link to a driver system. So in this case it was called TX Tango. And this allowed us to send the trip ticket information from Autostore V5 through the GOS to basically this TX Tango system that presented then the driver with their trip information on their own personal device. So no need for sort of printing little trip tickets anymore. Yeah, and then we moved to 2024. Again, crane OCR integration. Again, Certus provided the camera system for that. That was commissioned in January this year. We then did a Visi-GOS integration for the KTG terminal in Klaipėda in Lithuania. Just to mention in there, we also keep updating the Jaspersoft version. That's the application that we used for all the reporting from the product. So 8.2 has gone into the latest version of Autostore, the 6700 release. And then, yeah, looking ahead, there's a further Jaspersoft version, a big jump for them to version 9. And again, that provides security and maintainability aspects relating to that product. We have a UI refresh project on the go. The first development coming out of that will be what we're calling an operations dashboard. And we also have a new project, again, that got kicked off this year. The client is Verbrugge in the Netherlands, just on the Belgian border. This particular project has been a big driver for a complete integration between bulk TOS and container TOS.